Mercury entering Leo on June 26th at 3:09 p.m. Eastern Time. Mercury, which was the talk of the town in May, all we did was talk about Mercury and what it was doing. And this is a very notable transit here because I mentioned this last month. You'll hear it kind of in passing in previous transit videos talking about what Mercury is up to. Mercury is entering Leo, where it will be retrograding in July. So I'm not going to get too in-depth with the retrograde. We'll talk about it next month. But keep this in mind, so I'm going to give a few details for context. Mercury represents communication, speech, your mind. So what are you focusing on? It's like, where's your attention? What's your mind doing? How's it functioning, operating, processing? Mercury also captures technology, travel, because it's always on the move. Leo embodies a desire to perform, to be center stage. There's an ego. There's a call to self-express, to create, to be creative, to play. And when you have Mercury moving into Leo, it suggests that you're maybe thinking more about wanting to play, have fun. Your ego is getting a little bit bigger. You're more confident. You're a little bit more bold, but you also could just be playful. So you could have more of a sense of inspiration, more of a calling to self-express, be an individual rather than just somebody that's in the group. Of course, you have to layer that on to the specific house area for additional context. So feel free to start throwing those in the chat. But Mercury is going to be in Leo for just over 2 months. In comparison, Mercury was in Cancer, where it is now, for around 2.5 weeks. So we're going from a normal transit length for Mercury is 2.5 weeks, and for the retrograde, it's over 2 months. So this is a very important area in our chart for the next 2 months, starting on June 26th. We're going to be thinking about this area of life a ton. Because we have the retrograde, we'll be probably ruminating on it. Mercury retrogrades are known for having tech issues, so you can have that as well. You want to get your ducks in a row. Depending on this area of life, if you know this is coming, how can you get some things out of the way when you have a clearer mind that's moving forward rather than, flying around all over the place or things not working properly? So again, the retrograde doesn't start until July, but this is the warning. This is coming, and we want to get ready for it. So it will be entering its pre-shadow period for the retrograde on the 29th of June. So it's going to enter Leo, and 3 days later, it's in the pre-shadow. So we're only going to have a few days of peace of Mercury in Leo before the pre-shadow period where things can start happening already. Normally, the retrograde itself and the post-shadow are the most active periods that feel most like the retrograde, but we're still gearing up towards it in the pre-shadow period. So if you want to be really, really cautious, you're trying to get everything done, say what you need to say before the pre-shadow, which in this case gives you 3 days. And then eventually we will be having that, on the other side of the retrograde, we'll have some time at the end where it is moving direct and it's not in the shadow degree points, but things to think about or talk about or write about, etc. So for everyone's calendars, if you want to keep track of this, the actual retrograde, the stationing, is happening on July 18th. So the pre-shadow is the 29th of June. Stationing is the 18th of July. Second house. Oh, so you're going to have Mercury return? So for where it was when I was born, basically, if you have any planet that, according to your natal chart, if it's returning, if it's revisiting that same sign, it means you're going to have a return. So Tanya, you'll want to make note of that day or days, depending on where this falls in the retrograde for next month, which again, we'll talk about later, to look at if it's being hit or not, if your natal Mercury is being hit by the retrograde. When we're talking about Mercury going into the second house, I have the same thing. That means thoughts, communication, writing, discussion around money, how you're earning money, things that you are doing that are earning you money. Can be your job, could be just things in general. Also, your assets, things that you own, thinking about your property, things that you want to buy. So you could be thinking about things you want to buy or that you want to sell or that you want to reevaluate in some capacity, especially when we get to the retrograde, as well as your self-worth, your values, things that you value, even if they're not physical, can be traits, can be qualities in people within yourself. And how are you viewing yourself? So knowing that we're going to have a retrograde here means that we are going to be spending some time over a 2-month period really thinking about and talking about how we're earning money and our sense of self and value in what we're contributing and what we're doing. And then with the retrograde, we're going to be questioning all of that at the same time. For the 11th house, we are applying that model to our networking, our friends, our circles. So we could be talking to a lot of friends, wanting to make new friends. And we had the retrograde coming in there. It could mean maybe we are having communication issues with some of our friendships or wondering about the quality of our friendships. I wouldn't say our circles are shrinking. That probably would be more of a Saturn in the 11th house, but because it's around how we're communicating, we're talking, we're connecting. So it's with friends, with your community, with social media, anything involving networking or connecting with large groups of people, being a part of a club, being in a group. So you could be feeling more called to participate in that space, but then knowing we're going to have a retrograde, it could mean that there's some dysfunction or there's some wires crossed or kind of retreating a little bit from it as well, but that you're thinking a lot about how you fit within a group or how you're connecting with a bunch of people. And when we have the 3rd and 4th house, again, you're going to want to pay attention to where the retrograde is happening. Likely it's going to be in the 4th house, but it could be in some of the 3rd house, depending on how big your charts are, your slices are. Same thing for you, Amy. It's probably mostly in the 9th, but maybe it's just in the 8th. It depends on how big your slices are. So you'll have to pay attention to that next month, but I'll speak about it more broadly. So when you have Mercury going into Leo in the 3rd and 4th, 3rd's the communication house. It's short distance travel. It's your neighborhood. It's your neighbors. It's your siblings, your extended family. Technology is in there as well. So how you're communicating. It's just kind of doubling down on a lot of the ideas of Mercury as well. How are you communicating? Who are you talking to? What are you thinking about? Are you being clear in your communication? Is it effective? And then when it comes to family, it's thinking about your family. If the retrograde's hitting this, you could be preoccupied with, oh gosh, what's going on with my family? There's this problem, there's that problem. How do I, attend to them, take care of them, whatever it is. And of course, you have Leo in the background of all of this. So you're thinking about yourself in relation to whatever is happening. So how are you centering yourself in your communication or in your relationships with your family or in understanding your ancestry? And then for the 8th house and 9th house, we're looking at transformation, death and rebirth, money coming from other people, shared resources, mental health. 9th house, long distance travel. So I view it as like a day trip is the 3rd house where you're just kind of going somewhere and then you go home. And long distance travel is, you have to take a plane or you're really going somewhere that's far and you're going to stay overnight or for a longer period of time. Learning, teaching, philosophy, religion, any ways that you can expand your mind and your understanding of the world, how things work. When you have Mercury in there, it's kind of fitting. When we're talking about mental health, as an example, that's the mind. When we're talking about learning and teaching, that's the mind. So Mercury is inherently picking up on themes of the 8th and the 9th house. When we have the retrograde, depending on where it's happening, it means there could be some sort of rumination if that's picking up on the 8th house. You're probably going to especially feel it, but you're questioning or pondering, who am I here? Who am I in relation to the world around me? Who am I as a leader, as a teacher? And how am I taking care of myself? How am I centering myself, supporting myself? Where am I itching to take center stage, to renew, become a different version of my most authentic self in my self-expression? So for Amy, 8th and 9th, these are definitely these are pretty weighty topics. These are very transformative topics. Really thinking about your life, how you are in collaboration, how you are weighing your reality, how you are living, and really reviewing that from top down, especially when we have retrogrades. You can view it as you're reviewing, you're revisiting, you're redoing, any rewords. First and second house. First house, you're going to be thinking about, talking about, writing about, reflecting on, etc. Your identity, your appearance. So how do you look? How do you carry yourself? Who are you? And then that is dovetailing with the second house, which we talked about before, which is your sense of self-worth, your assets, the things that you own, how you earn money.